Hey YouTube, how you all going? Just thought I'd do another video update because I finished another Tough Mudder this weekend just gone. It was the Sydney Tough Mudder event held at Fernhill Estate in Mulgoa, about an hour and 10 minutes drive from my place here on Sydney's Northern Beaches. It's a really good event for myself. Another pleasing result. I managed to come in 4th place out of the 8 a.m. wave. No doubt, as most of you know, the 8 a.m. or the first wave of the day is typically the most competitive because everyone wants to get out there and do a good time and try and qualify for World's Toughest Mudder. So yeah, came in 4th place, managed to finish the course in 1 hour and 47 minutes, which was only about 12 minutes behind the winner. The winner did it in an hour and 35. The course itself was very geared towards runners. It was, to be honest, it was a bit of a letdown in terms of course design and everything like that. I'll touch on a few of those points in a minute. But in terms of the race itself, got a good start. Was up in that kind of first 3 to begin with, but you know, straight away I could tell these guys who were up there with me were I guess more pure runners, if you like, just with the technique of their running. And then another guy who ran past had like a professional running club kind of logo on his shirt. So I knew from the start they were pretty good runners, and the pace they were setting was pretty good. I think the guy who came second, though, he also does race in the Obstacle Course Racing League, and you know, good on him for being able to stick up near the front there with the more pure runners. So yeah, so for the first, you know, probably 10 kilometers, it really seemed like it was like literally where are the obstacles. We started with obviously a sprint from the start line. There was a hay bale and like a little wooden kind of fence section to climb over, up and down a few little ditches and gullies, through a mud crawl, and then there was what they call the blades, which are walls that kind of slope like that, so they're a little bit harder to get up and over, but there was only 2 of them. And then after that, I was in 4th position at that stage, and then no, sorry, I think I was in 3rd position at that stage, and then I got overtaken by another 2 guys, one of whom is a friend of mine who I've raced with previously. His name's Michael, and they kind of got a little bit of a lead on me, and I was struggling a little bit just early on. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know it does kind of take me a little bit to get going. I'm more of a distance runner than a short sprint kind of guy. So this was probably around 3, 4, 5 kilometre mark, all happening around there. So I dropped back to 5th, but I still had a big lead on anyone else who was behind me. We kind of had separated from the rest of the course. We then, as I said, entered this section probably between, say, kilometre 4 or 5 and about kilometre 10, where we were just running. It was just trail running. And I saw the kilometres ticking down. I was like, where's the next obstacle? Where's the next obstacle? And there was a short kind of trench warfare to go through that turned and angled and stuff, and I popped out of that and had managed at that stage to actually catch my friend Michael. So we were in 4th and 5th then together. And that was kind of, I mean, yes, it was an obstacle, but, you know, it's crawling through, you know, it's not that tough. So, you know, I was after something more. They then had, shortly after that, an obstacle where they kind of dug trenches in the ground, but you could just jump over them. And to be honest, they weren't really that far apart, and it was more just your natural running stride. You just bounded over them. So again, I didn't really classify that as a real Tough Mudder obstacle. And also the guy at the start line had been really amping it up. He was like, yeah, this is going to be the toughest course ever. You know, there's 15 kilometres of uphill running. And even to begin with, I looked around and it was like, there's no way there's going to be 15 kilometres of uphill running. There just literally wasn't enough hills. The only way they would be able to do it was if they had you running hill repeats. But obviously that wouldn't be the case. So yeah, me and my mate Michael were in 4th and 5th just running together, and we just were ticking down the kilometres, 10 kilometres, 11 kilometres, 12, and we're like starting to go, okay, when is like the real obstacles going to come? Is it just going to be like a crazy last 5Ks? Are they just going to be so hard, those last 5Ks? But it wasn't. They had a mud mile but compared to last year, it was nothing really. I mean, it wasn't that deep. It probably was just above knee height, maybe, the water. The mounds, because we were the first ones over, were a little bit loose. You know, all the dirt hadn't kind of been compacted down. But again, not too bad. The Berlin walls this year, we actually spoke with a guy from Tough Mudder after the event, and we're like, dude, what was going on? And he was like, oh, you know, there was one more obstacle than last year, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, but they weren't as hard, were they? And we talked about the Berlin walls. This year, they were only 2.5 meters tall, and there was only 2 of them, one after another. I think at last year's event, he confirmed that they were 3 meters tall, and I can't remember exactly, but there was at least 4, maybe 5, just one after another. So obviously, by the time you get to the 5th one, you're completely spent, and it just takes everything you've got to get up and over. If you've only got 2, you know, it's nowhere near as difficult. Same with the mud mile. Last year's event, it was just such thick mud to get through. It really sapped your energy. This year, yes, it was an obstacle. Yes, it took up time, but it wasn't that just draining. You're like, oh my God, I want to get out of here kind of thing. Anyway, after that, things did ramp up a little bit in the last like 3 or 4 kilometers, but not as much as I thought they would be. They had like the fan favorite obstacles towards the end. They had the electric eel. For the first time ever, actually, I blacked out on that. I just must have copped one right on the back of my neck, and just like a split second, I was like, whew. Then I came back and I was like, whoa, that was weird. Got through that. They had the new obstacle as well, the cage crawl. Pretty much a chain link fence lying over a ditch filled with water, and you kind of crawl up it, and you know the water, it's not really up to your mouth, but like in certain sections you just had to hold your breath for a bit, get past it, and then there was some air. I had that. Everest, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting better at it, or maybe because it was early in the day and it wasn't wet or muddy or anything, it seemed easier, definitely. After Everest, they also had like electroshock therapy at the end, as they always do. And yeah, that was kind of pretty much it in terms of, you know, the obstacles. Walk the plank was in there somewhere as well. But the main point I'm trying to get at was that the course A was very run focused. Just the amount of trail running there was, and the large gap between each obstacle, and the fact that the obstacles weren't tough enough to slow the pure runners down. You know, in some events, the best runner doesn't necessarily win because the obstacles tire you down so much, or they provide an opportunity for others to catch up. You know, if you'd gone off the front and were leading and hit, say, 3 meter high Berlin walls and couldn't get over them yourself, then everyone behind you, the guys coming 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, could catch you very easily. And then all of a sudden you're back on an even keel again, and if you want to try and win, you got to go yourself. And at that stage you might be tiring. Maybe the guys who are used to obstacle racing can kind of stay with you, or maybe there's someone like myself who feels better the longer they go in the race and can keep up with your pace for those last few kilometers. So yeah, it was disappointing that they didn't have those obstacles that slow, you know, the more pure runners down. And yeah, I mean, look, I still love Tough Mudder. I still love doing it. I just thought, to be honest, with Spartan Race coming to Australia this year, that Tough Mudder would really make the effort to make it like a cracking event. Just to kind of summarise how the event ended for myself. So I was with my mate Michael. Because we had such a lead on everyone behind us, like those guys coming 6th, 7th and whatnot, I envisaged saying to Michael at about kilometre 18 or 19, say, look, you know, if you want, we'll cross together. If not, let's, you know, do you want to race this last kilometre? Let's just give it a crack. Because we're still obviously racing. We're trying to get as close to 3rd as possible and do a good time. But unfortunately, at about, I think, 17 or 18 kilometres, Michael just said, look, I'm not 100% with it today. He'd had an injury a week or so ago and hadn't kind of built his fitness back up to where he wanted it to be. So he said, you know, go ahead and just knock off the last 2 kilometres, I think it was, by yourself. So I powered on and, as I said, managed to cross in 4th position, which is the same position that I crossed in last year on Sunday. But Saturday's wave is definitely a lot tougher in terms of the competition that was there, and just looking at the people who were lining up next to me. and hour 47, as I said, which is better than last year's time, although the course wasn't really comparable. And then Michael, I think he was probably about 5 or 7 minutes behind me, not too far. So it was good to see that he crossed in a good time as well. And yeah, I mean, that was it for the event. As I said, still love Tough Mudder. I just wish they'd kind of kept a few of the things that make it, just that little bit tougher, that bit special. That one event on the obstacle racing calendar, you got lots of 5K, 7K, 10K runs. Just that one, it's like, yes, we're 20Ks. Yes, it's going to be a massive challenge, and just give it a crack, and also incorporating teamwork, especially for people who are maybe not racing it, but just want to have a challenge. If a lot of people could probably get up a 2.5 meter wall by himself, but if you have a 3 meter wall, even I would probably need a hand on the 5th one. And I'm used to doing it. So I think, if they were harder and that kind of thing, then people who were just there as a challenge would have gotten more out of it, because they'd have to work together and they'd finish it going, oh my God, that was insanely difficult. And the feedback on Facebook and that kind of thing hasn't really been at that level. Anyway, that's just my thoughts, guys. Glad to get another orange headband. Second Tough Mudder besides World's Toughest Mudder. So 3 events in total now, and just add it to the collection. As always, please rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought. Were you there at Tough Mudder in Sydney? And yeah, as always, thanks for watching.